Donald Trump needs to pull back. He needs to stand down. Donald Trump is inflaming these conditions. This is Donald Trump's problem right now, and if he can't solve it, we will.
Yes, that's a hairpiece Gazette over there. Gavin Newsom, the governor of the once great state of California, he might as well be Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov. He might as well be Lenin. The commies are they're tearing the country down. And, it's all Trump's fault. Democrats riot and attack federal police because federal police are enforcing federal law. And when the violent mob attacks, the Democrats pull the police out, remove them from the scene, leaving the city in danger, violent mobs, illegal aliens, cartels, gangs, Tren de Aragua, MS-13. And then President Trump brought out the National Guard. And the Democrats said, oh, that's it. This is all Trump's fault. He sent in reinforcements after the situation was out of control. So the commie, pinko, transgender, they blame Trump because the mental illness is everywhere now. And the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, she's no fan of the police either. They love gang members from B-pole countries that they fled because they're B-poles, and then they come here. This is the fundamental transformation of America. The Democrat Party is busy implementing the Barack Hussein Obama plan of turning the United States into a third world country, the fundamental transformation of America. And he warned us that we better teach all the kids to speak Spanish because the Democrats have a plan for us. They are unwell. The Democrat Party is, are they a terrorist group? Would it be unfair to say that the Democrat Party is a terrorist organization? I think it's a discussion worth having. I think Oprah would have it if she had a TV show. Does she have a TV show? She got a TV network, though. She's got a network. Because, racism, because it's a racist country. And I know because the party of the Klan told me. Amazing stuff. Oh, speaking of which, what was it, Pride Week or Pride Month or Pride Year? They're always so proud. And they had in Washington, D.C., the formerly gay neighborhood, DuPont Circle, named for a rear admiral, I should point out. They fenced off the circle. I went by there on Friday on my way to my second job, and they had the 10-foot-high no-climb fence around DuPont Circle in Washington, D.C. here so that nobody could get in there. So it spread out a little bit, and there was one shot and two stabbed because the Democrats were celebrating. And they're very proud. They're always proud of all kinds of things. So it was Proud Week or Proud Day or Proud Cowboys or whatever it was. But we had one shot and two stabbed because the Democrats were having a festival in Washington, D.C. It was the Pride Festival, not American Pride, not the American flag. You don't see the American flag at these events unless they're burning because that's what the Democrat Party does when it comes to the American flag. Yeah, so we had... Was that going on all over the country? Was that we just have the honor of having that here? And then they had the transgender thing at the Lincoln Memorial, and a storm came in, and it was pouring rain, I think, throughout the whole thing. Good cleansing, get a good old scrubbing out of that one. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, so one shot and two, and then the police, who the Democrats want to defund, came in and restored order. Not like Los Angeles, though, where there were thousands of rioters, and they're shutting down major interstate highways because they wander into traffic and no fear of being run over. I'd like to see that change, wouldn't you? I think everybody would like to see that change. There should be fair. And then the Mr. Fashion Poser sunglasses model, Gavin Newsom, he came out and he was on MSDNC last night in the 10 p.m. hour. Don't ask me how I happened upon it, but I did happen upon it. And, hey, there's Gavin Newsom, and that's where I learned that it's all Trump's fault, that the Democrats wave in mobs, thousands, millions of illegal alien gang members and cartel members and drug traffickers and child sex traffickers and human traffickers, like Abrego Garcia, their hero Abrego Garcia. And then, if you start enforcing the law, they turn violent because, Oongla Boongla, we're a third world country. And the Democrat Party is making it that way because they're anti-American and they're un-American. They're hostile to civilization itself. And Gavin Newsom came out, and I think he was on MSDNC last night for a half an hour live just, and eventually the anchorman had to cut it off because he's like, I'll stay here all night. As long as you're talking to me, you're not showing video of Democrats burning and rioting. You see, they're burning these cars. They had to steal a bunch of really expensive cars and burn them. They're not. Are they Teslas? They're self-driving. They're these self-driving cars. And according to reports, they're like a taxi, like in the Woody Allen movie Sleeper. You call one of these things, it comes and picks you up. There's no driver in it. There's no person in it. You get in the back, and they drive you to your destination. And self-driving cars. And I read this morning they're $600,000 each. And the Democrats stole a number of them and set them on fire in the streets because they're savages, because they're terrorists. They're on the side of terror and anarchy, and they're not on our side. And they love illegal aliens, don't they? Gosh, they love illegal aliens. Speaking of which, there's a story that is being overwhelmingly ignored by the news media because our news media is the most corrupt institution in America. Like ABC News. So let's get to that ABC News snake shortly because that's kind of a good story. ABC News actually suspended one of their fake reporters, Terry Moran, because he went off on a radical political jag. He did everything but throw a Molotov cocktail at a Jewish governor's house. He's a radical and a lunatic, but we've got that coming in. But there was a U.S. Marine that was now former U.S. Marine, served proudly as U.S. Marine, working a job as security, and an illegal alien shot him 3 times over the weekend, and now he's paralyzed and can't speak, and he's in the intensive care unit. And the Democrat Party just doesn't care. They just they don't care about human life. They don't care about the U.S. military, except they want them to all be transgender and to put on a musical show somewhere in Africa where they're giving out free circumcisions because the Democrat Party is very, very mentally ill. Amazing stuff. Oh, yeah, and we got I got to tell you that a Democrat member of the House of Representatives being called a lunatic because she posted a video and yelling at ICE agents and cursing and using all the curse words and the F-bomb and all that. And the Democrat Party, these are their members of Congress. And the Los Angeles is burning. It's like when Minneapolis was burning, like when Kenosha was burning, when Washington was burning. Even when it's not burning, they're just shooting and stabbing people because of their politics, and it's always because of their politics. And their hero, they have many heroes. Most of them kill people because the Democrat Party is a violent gang of leftists, and nobody kills people like the left. And it's all very righteous when they do it, at least self-righteous. Amazing stuff. But, it was an illegal alien that brought a flamethrower to a Jewish march in Boulder, Colorado. He's an illegal alien from Egypt that the Democrats waved in and gave extensions on his visa, and he's illegally here. And they're like, oh, you can stay and set the Jews on fire while you're here, like we did with Governor Josh Shapiro, the Jewish governor of Pennsylvania, whose governor's mansion was firebombed with 2 Molotov cocktails by a Democrat because with his family inside during Passover after the Seder dinner and tried to burn them all to death in their home. And then an illegal alien from Egypt set on fire, 88-year-old Holocaust survivor in Boulder, Colorado. He thought he was pretty much in the clear. He didn't know about the Democratic Party because they're setting everything on fire, and they're not on the side of civilization. They're not on our side. Just a minute. That was an illegal alien. Illegal alien shot and wounded a former U.S. Marine, leaving him paralyzed and unable to speak. And we got that. And then their hero, Kilmore Abrego Garcia, brought back to the United States at the end of last week to face charges for trafficking thousands of illegal aliens, focusing on MS-13. Remember the Democrats and Senator Chris Van Hollen telling us he's got nothing to do with MS-13. Just look at the tattoos on his knuckles that say, I'm with MS-13, and that's what these tattoos mean. But the Democrats, they alter them on the internet, and then they're satisfied because of their many mental illnesses and gender dysphoria. Isn't that amazing? But Abrego Garcia now back in the United States, and trafficking, human trafficker, thousands of illegal aliens, focusing for, 9 years, focusing on MS-13 members. And the Democrats, watch the news media just bury this in a shallow grave like Vince Foster, as a reference to somebody in the Clinton White House that Hillary Clinton had an affair with and then abused. And then he allegedly shot himself in the head at Fort Marcy Park near the CIA in Virginia. But never mind that. But their pal, Abrego Garcia, their hero, Abrego Garcia, is back. It reminds me of Luigi Mangione, because Luigi Mangione murdered a CEO in New York City of a health insurance company, and the Democrats celebrated him, and they all want their daughters to marry him while in prison. Because, Abrego Garcia was married to his wife that he had beaten repeatedly in prison as well, with bulletproof glass between them. And the Democrats applaud that. Finally, they found a marriage they can approve of. Pretty amazing stuff. But he's back, and he's looking at 1,000 years in prison for 9 years of human trafficking. Let's get back to the beating. It was his baby mama the first time he beat her, and she got a court order trying to keep him away. Then she married him in prison because, the generosity of women will never cease to amaze me. And then she got another restraining order when he beat her up again. And that's the hero of the Democrat Party, Kilmore Abrego Garcia. And he's looking at lots and lots of years in the United States prisons, because now we'll pay millions and millions of dollars for the prison, first the trials, and then the years in prison for all his crimes perpetrated against America and Americans, and, of course, human trafficking. And the Democrats applaud that. They literally applaud that, because the Democrat Party should probably be banned in the United States of America. Amazing, amazing stuff. Yes, sir. President Trump over the weekend, he went to the Ultimate Fighting, went to UFC 316. They number them, And who was there? Mike Tyson was there with him. The great Mike Tyson was there in the crowd with President Trump. UFC was in New Jersey over the weekend. President was treated like a conquering hero, received like a conquering hero. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. We've got that for you, too. And I mentioned ABC Fake News and their boy Terry Moran. Terry Moran, who recently said, what did he say? Trump was Hitler? At China, it was not just the Republicans. It was Trump specifically, right? And ABC News said, yeah, we like that. Let's keep paying him. Terry Moran went on Al Gore's Amazing Internet and had a mental breakdown. He's keeping whatever gender he is to himself, but ABC News, Terry Moran goes on wild screed against Stephen Miller, of the Trump White House, and goes, did he call him Hitler? Did he call him an outsider? And then they firebomb every Jew they can find while they call you Hitler. Isn't it amazing? In Boulder, Colorado, in the governor's mansion in Pennsylvania, on campuses in the northeastern United States, Ivy League terrorizing Jews. And then they call everybody Nazis. Because, I've been saying for years, no sense of irony, these people. They have no sense of irony, and they use the words, but they don't know what they mean. Two of my sayings about Democrats, and they prove those sayings to be true pretty much every day. Now, Terry Moran went off on this crazy screed attacking Stephen Miller because he's a political radical, Terry Moran is, and a perfectly ordinary mainstream news media guy, Democrat Party. Well, shocking news this morning. ABC News, I think they did it last night. ABC News is Terry Moran suspended after rant on world-class hater. Now he's the world-class hater, of course, more projection by the people that call everybody Nazis and then firebomb Holocaust survivors. The Democrat Party, they're not on our side. Terry Moran suspended. I suspect he'll be welcomed back into the fold. If not, he'll have to go over to MSDNC or CNN, where they will welcome him with open arms and fists full of lubricant. You know how they like lube, these people. Yes, sir. In Colombia, presidential candidate there shot during a campaign event. You'll never guess what that's about there. I'll fill you in on that. And we remain at 888-630-9625.
Suspend the sentence. Suspend the sentence.
Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at washingtontimes.com/Chris. The Democrats are our Houthis. I was texting Michael and some of the gang over the weekend. The Democrat Party, they're like the Houthi rebels. Every now and then they pretend to care about children. We got Gavin Newsom pretending for a minute to care about children. They don't care about children. He's lying about that. He's a liar. And we've got that. Now, before we get into it, I've got lots of amazing audio for you about the riots and the governor and the idiot mayor. I've got the former police chief. I got the current police chief. And good stuff coming up. We are at 888-630-9625. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Jack calling from the tragic state of California. Jack, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Chris, it's your adopted home of California. Remember, you went to Santa Barbara City College.
That's true. Yeah, I lived in Santa Barbara for 7 years. Yeah.
Well, our governor wants to be arrested. So, and Kamala is all for this. She's 100% for it. But it's instigated by our three little congressmen, Garcia, Ruiz, and Aguilar. We have a new one, Judy Chu is another one joining in. But these people, I don't know how they can instigate and have immunity from trying to, you're seeing the bombings, you're seeing what it is. But Trump sending in the National Guard was a great idea. I want to talk just about a couple other things. I know a very short time. Elon only gave $250 million. Remember, Zuckerberg gave $500. So if Elon would just give another $250 to the congressional committee, just let him go. We're losing elections. I don't know why the Republicans are so happy. We lost the Wisconsin Supreme Court. We got killed in Pennsylvania State Senate that Trump won. These are recent things. Florida, we were outspent in the congressional races. Nobody talks about this. All they badmouth are the Democrats while they're winning the elections. The other last thing, I don't know what Ron Johnson's doing. He has to look at thousands of line items. Why don't the Senate start doing it now? Why don't they have some ideas? Where do they want to do the cuts? And we need the Bill Plant journalistic standards, where you cannot just say stuff the corporation pays for. If you're a journalist and you stand up and say something, you have to stand up for what you say. You can't just read what the producer tells you.
That would ruin journalism completely. That'd wreck it all.
Instead of worrying about whether immigrants can learn English, they'll learn English. You need to make sure your child can speak Spanish.
Sounds like a good idea right about now, doesn't it? I guess all the police should learn Spanish, too, because the Democrats, they have a plan for America. I have some audio I want to play for you that amused us. Michael and I this morning, we were amused by a television news reporter in Los Angeles, California, working for the ABC news station there. ABC 7 in Los Angeles, California. They've got a news reporter. I'm making quotation marks with my fingers. His name is Mark Brown. Mark with a C, not with a K, Mark Brown. And Mark Brown was observing the riots. The Democrats were stealing very expensive automobiles and setting them on fire in the middle of the street, attacking the police. They somehow always have a supply of cinder blocks and red bricks. They have pallets of. They bring in crates of frozen water bottles, and they have systematic methods for violently attacking the police. They're the Democrat Party. And Mark Brown, the news reporter there, listen to this. We kind of laughed a little now I'm amazed that nobody was killed in these riots over the weekend, but lots of very expensive automobiles stolen by the Democrat mob, violent criminal mob, and setting them on fire in the streets. And here comes ABC News reporter Mark Brown explaining what we're seeing here and how it's, well, I'll let him explain.
Large group of people. It could turn very volatile if you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation and altercation.
Now, you don't want to move police in there because people are just having fun watching cars burn. I guess it's not Mark Brown's car. We should maybe move Mark Brown's car down there and bring his wife's car, bring his mother's car, bring the cars down there. They're just people just having a good time watching cars burn. Well, they set those cars on fire. And you guys are big on fire. You know, you burn Jewish people, you burn Holocaust survivors, you burn governors' mansions, you burn Tesla automobiles, you burn Tesla dealerships. We had one guy rented a Tesla truck in Las Vegas, Nevada, brought it to the front entrance of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas, blew himself up inside the vehicle, killed himself. You got Democrats self-immolating all over the country, from the Israeli embassy in Washington to the Israeli consulate in Atlanta to the Trump trial in New York to the list goes on and on. The Democrats self-immolating. Yeah, they're just, what did he say now? Having fun. They're just having fun watching cars burn. And if you bring police in, and start enforcing law, then you really make things bad. Isn't that amazing? That's our news media. ABC News. This guy's going network soon, I think. You know, Terry Moran may be making a slot available. Could be making a slot available at ABC News. Yeah, just having fun watching cars. They're not their cars. They're stolen cars. And the mob is torching everything.
If you move law enforcement in there in the wrong way and turn what is just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn into a massive confrontation.
Just a bunch of people having fun watching cars burn. But if you move police in, you might have what is a massive confrontation. It's not currently a massive confrontation. They're just rioting and burning and attacking the police. And it's because it started because Immigration Customs Enforcement was arresting illegal aliens, targeting the most violent and the gang members and all that. And the Democrats saw that and they said, we're going to have to steal some really expensive cars and burn them and riot and attack the police. There's video of police officers driving in Los Angeles in a van, and they're driving up the road and they're being showered with rocks and pieces of cinder blocks. And the police officer in the driver's seat, driving along steady as you can be, is actually wearing a gas mask, not because there's gas at that moment, but I think because he's afraid that the windshield is going to blow up and shatter in front. He wanted to protect his face and his eyes from exploding glass, and sure enough, then a brick hits the center of his windshield right in front of his face. The police officer in uniform, driver of the vehicle, and the windshield shatters right in front of him, and he's calm, cool, and collected. From inside the police vehicle, this is the video of the just being bombarded with heavy objects, with bricks and rocks, and Democrats are doing all of the violence, and they're doing it on behalf of illegal aliens and gang members because they're on the side of crime. They're on the side of criminals. They're on the side of murder and arson and grand theft auto. That's the Democrat Party in the mainstream. And that includes, as our first brilliant caller said today, Jack said today, calling from California, you know, the Democrat members of Congress are out there being vocally supportive of the illegal aliens and the gang members and the human traffickers and of the attacks on the police and of the riots. The Democrat Party is the party of crime and criminals. The Democrat Party should probably be disbanded. And Terry Moran could take over. What do you think, Terry Moran at ABC News? He could take over. Celebrating gayness in Washington, 1 shot, 2 stabbed over the weekend. Had shut down DuPont Circle, the big jelly roll, and then they reopened it because of public pressure from the violent mob in the street that's shooting and stabbing people. That's in Washington, D.C., not Los Angeles, California, because the Democrats. Oh, yeah, speaking of Greta Thunberg, who was talking about Greta Thunberg? Well, I was thinking about her. I think about her very often in the morning. No, I don't. I don't really. That'd be disturbing. Israeli forces seize Gaza-bound aid boat. It's not an aid boat. And detain Greta Thunberg and other activists. This is great. And she posted a video because everybody posts a video, don't they? I'm a little sick of the internet. Aren't you? That everybody posts. Maybe not everybody should be allowed to post videos. Israeli for, Greta, who is a prophet of doom. How dare you? The planet is dying. And it's like that Democrat Congresswoman Katie Porter from California. She convinced her 9-year-old girl, her 9-year-old daughter, that the earth is on fire and we're all going to die soon, right? And then that they're an apocalyptic death cult, and they sacrifice millions and millions of children, literally snuff out their lives and harvest their organs. They're like the Incas. They're just unbelievable. Or the Incans, if you prefer the Incans. Amazing stuff. But Greta von Thunberg, who became one of the abused child prophets of doom of the Democrat Party.
How dare you!
And she got on a multi-million-dollar sailing yacht in Europe and the Mediterranean and said, we're going to sail to Gaza, and we're going to give them ammo or biological weapons or hand over Holocaust survivors for them to set on fire or something like that, because Greta self-describes as a liberal, but these so-called liberals are actually leftists, and they're too dumb to know what it is they're doing most of the time. But she got on this sailing yacht, looks like a very nice yacht, with giant Palestinian flags. There is no Palestine, but, they had the Gaza, and look what they did with it. Give them a little real estate, and they'll plot against you and then kill your children. And the Democrats will support them and applaud them and get on somebody else's multi-million-dollar sailing yacht to go down there and deliver sandwiches or something like that. So Israeli forces seized a Gaza-bound aid boat. I kind of wish they had sunk it, just one through the hull from a distance, thump, and watch it go down, glug, glug, glug. But Israeli forces seized a Gaza-bound aid boat. This is the Associated Press, and detained Greta Thunberg, a teenage activist, and other activists who are on board early Monday, that's today, and forcing a long-standing blockade of the Palestinian territory that has been tightened during the war with Hamas, what with the psychotic jihadi death cult of murderers. You don't really want to fuel them with ammo and give them more things to kill people with, which is, if you gave them a Subway sandwich, they'd find a way to kill someone with it. They're honestly, they're the bad guys, but the Democrat Party is in bed with them. That's who they want to date. Just great. The activists had set out to protest Israel's ongoing military campaign in the Gaza. You're aware of the fact that you're going into a war zone. I do think the yacht should have been sunk. You're aiding and abetting the enemies of civilization. If you're stupid enough to send your sailing yacht in there with teenage, I don't even think she's a teenager anymore. She's been around for long enough. How annoying is she? Just amazing stuff. So the activists set out to protest Israel's military campaign in the Gaza, among the deadliest and most destructive since World War II. That's what the Associated Press writes. The media is the most corrupt institution in America, for sure. What's the dateline on? This is Dateline Jerusalem, Associated Press. But they lie wherever they are. And it's about, I recall October 7th was the largest massacre of Jews since World War II, when the Holocaust was put to an end, when the Socialist Workers' Party of Adolf Hitler was at long last snuffed out. Isn't that great? So they, and it's restrictions on the entry of humanitarian aid. Who do you think's been feeding them all these years? These idiots are too stupid to feed themselves. They can't give themselves electricity. They can't provide themselves with clean water. Israel provides them with clean water, with electricity, with medical care, and then talk about biting the hand that feeds you, your Democrat Party. So I don't know. It looks like Greta Thunberg may have to be put to death in the electric chair in Israel. Could happen this afternoon. And I just made that up. I made that last part up, but it's kind of fun, isn't it? That'd be a lot of fun, wouldn't it? Yeah. So it says the ship, it's a sailing yacht, was unlawfully boarded. Sure, it wasn't unlawfully. You guys went unlawfully into a restricted area in a war zone, and you should be sunk. Its unarmed civilian crew abducted, and its life-saving cargo, including baby formula. You know, they love babies. When they're not aborting them, they're sending them formula in Gaza. Food and medical supplies confiscated. Why do they need food and medical supplies? Oh, because they always got them all from Israel. And then they attacked and killed and raped and kidnapped and tortured and killed again and now Greta Thunberg is on the side of the rapists and the kidnappers and the terrorists because that's everything. Now, there is a Greta von Thunberg. She made a video of herself. She's the victim in all this. Let's not lose sight of who the victims are.
My name is Greta Thunberg, and I am from Sweden.
What?
If you see this video, we have been intercepted and kidnapped in international waters.
Kidnapped?
By the Israeli occupational forces or forces
a war
that support
zone.
Israel. I urge all my friends, family, and comrades to put pressure on the Swedish government to release me and the others as soon as possible.
What do you think the Swedish government has to do with anything here? They're in Sweden. They're the Swedish government. They don't need you. They're dealing with thousands of Afghan refugees sleeping around their houses of parliament, demanding free stuff for the rest of their lives because, you know, Western civilization is under assault, and the left is really the most dangerous element in all of that. Yeah, Greta von Thunberg, isn't that great? And she's, oh no, we've been, if you're seeing this, we've been kidnapped. You should, your whoever's yacht it is, should have been sunk. There is no doubt about it. The Associated Press, very upset about that. Israeli forces seize Gaza-bound aid boat and detain Greta Thunberg and other activists. They're activists. That's what they are. Man, oh, Manischewitz, as everybody used to say. Aren't they amazing? Let's grab a quick phone call, Michael. I've got a lot of audio of crazy Democrats, violence, arson, firebombing, anti-Semitism, pro-illegal alien gang members from third world beep-hole countries. They're not on our side. Let's grab phone. Let's go to Rob, calling from Montgomery County, Maryland. Rob, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Chris, good morning. I hope you had a great weekend and got to relax a little bit. You always know that when you come in on Mondays, you have a lot to talk about.
That's a fact.
It's a never-ending saga with the crazies on the other side.
Sure is.
Hey, you know, what happened to the good old days? I used to see films, I don't know where it actually occurred, but taking fire engines, you know, with the high-pressure hoses and ridding the mobs that way. I think I talked to you way back about Occupy Wall Street. I don't know why they didn't do that with that. You know, it would have cleaned the people. You said that they were cleansed down at the mall.
Right.
Thunderstorm.
Right. No, I'm entirely in favor of that. I've talked about bringing out the fire trucks from Dulles Airport with the water cannons on the roof, right? And sprays them down with foam, hoses them down with foam, and that's fun. Now, what is it in?
But then, you know,
go ahead.
Go after the fire departments. You know, then you know this is all planned and orchestrated. You know it. I know it. None of these people are ever arrested. We never find out where they came from. Did you see some of the pictures of some of these huge people? I don't want to call them goons because I don't want anybody showing up at my front door. But they were humongous people in California. They were just wandering around. I'm like, these people don't just show up because they have nothing. Well, they do have nothing better to do, but they're being paid.
Yeah,
you know,
that's right.
Where we get
the left organizes them. The left pays them. The left gives them shirts and hats and box lunches. They're a lot of them certainly are paid, organized leftists, basically terrorists. And where is that? I think it's in Israel, isn't it, where they hose them down with the blue dye so that they can spot them the day after and 2 days after because they're covered in blue dye.
That's even a better idea.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I was texting with friends about this yesterday. I said they should make it very smelly, too. The blue dye should be very odoriferous, right?
But then they would need the Eden Pure.
The air purifier to clean up.
Street from me.
That's true. That it worked. You know, Democrats put that to the test every day. The Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier. It's true. Yeah, but the blue dye, hosing them down with blue dye is a fun idea. And days later, you still know who was at that riot because they're still covered in blue dye. It should never come off for the rest of their lives. And, I don't know, could you make them any smellier than they already are? Let's give it a try. I need to correct the blue dye issue. Went and searched, and I couldn't even find it in my text threads, but somebody sent it to me in my text threads yesterday. Went and looked it up. There are a lot of reports that the Japanese police sprayed looters with water cannons using blue dye. But the fact check from the Reuters news organization in 2020, about 5 years ago, June 26th of 2020, Hong Kong, not Japan, sprayed looters and rioters with blue dye. I like it. And they used water cannons or water cannon, which can be the plural of cannon. But the fact checkers were all over it. No, it's not Japan. It's Hong Kong that used blue dye and water cannons to tag their rioters and their looters. I think that's kind of fun. The people working for the Democrats, they show up with flamethrowers. And they set fire to Jewish protesters who were actually peaceful. And when I hear the news media telling us that the rioters burning everything right behind them, well, the news media is telling us that it's peaceful and they're peaceful protesters. And then Democrat congressmen.